You ever notice how loss burns itself into your memory like a scar? No matter how many times you win, it's the one defeat that shows up in your dreams, right? You see the mistake, you feel the hesitation, and you taste the regret. And the weird part, most of us would do anything to forget it, to bury it, to get back to winning so fast that we never have to think about that one single moment again. But let me ask you, what if losing is actually the greatest gift you'll ever get? What if that painful, humiliating, confidence-shattering defeat was the exact thing you needed to evolve? Yeah, today I want to talk about the art of losing. Why defeat makes you sharper, hungrier, and more creative than any victory ever could. And while learning to lose on the mats in business and love is the only way to become truly dangerous.
Steel and shadow, fists fly high, breaking through limits, I reach for the sky. Martial instincts power my stride. Fight principles guiding my fight.
Welcome to Fight Principles. I'm Sasha, and we're going to dive into something that feels taboo in fight culture. Because let's be honest, yeah, we're taught to celebrate winners, post the highlight reels, brag about the KO, polish the belts, shine the trophies. Nobody wants to talk about their losses. Nobody wants to say, yeah, I got choked out, I got shut down, and I was afraid, and then I froze. But that silence, that's where growth dies. If all you ever do is talk about your victories, you'll start to believe your own hype. To stick with martial arts, you let your guard down. And you'll keep making the same tiny mistakes because nobody punished them or nobody punished you for those mistakes. And eventually, someone will. If you all had that training partner at some point in time, if you're doing martial arts, right? Slick, powerful, unstoppable in the local scene, beats up everybody in the gym, wins all the local matches, runs through people in sparring, barely breaks a sweat. Everyone's hyping him up. That's the guy, future champion, unbeatable. And then he finally faces someone who could match him, and then that guy that matched him beat him. And then the former superstar, what happens? Shatters. Right? We've seen this, I would assume, in every gym, fight, area, promotion, wherever you're spending time, right? Why? Because that guy, girl, that fighter never had to cope with doubt before, never had to adapt under pressure. Yeah, this person didn't have any skill for recentering themselves when things went sideways. So the confidence was built on the illusion of dominance, not the reality of resilience. And that is the problem with constant winning. You think you're improving, but you're really just surviving. You think you're strong, but actually you're untested. So let's talk about that feeling when you actually get wrecked. And not a close loss. I'm talking about a fight where you're outclassed, out-timed, out-hustled, humiliated. That cuts deep, right? That sucks so much. And your body feels heavy, your mind feels scattered, and let's be honest, our ego feels crushed, right? But that kind of loss rewires you because it does something that winning cannot do. It smashes the illusions. It forces you to look at the raw data of who you really are. No excuses, no hype, no I got lucky. It's just the truth. And that's the best thing that can happen to a serious fighter and anyone in real life as well. Because you can only fix what you can see. You can only grow if you admit what you're missing. And when you think back in your worst defeats, be that in a fight and sparring, wherever it might be. The parts that made you stick with embarrassment, the sloppy balance in sparring, the lazy defense, hands dropped, shallow breathing, collapsing in the final round, that's the data that makes you dangerous later. If you kept winning without the exposure, you would have stayed blind, soft, breakable. So let's go a little bit deeper, okay? So there's this edge that comes from losing that you can never ever simulate in training. Yeah, no drill can teach you what it feels like to truly doubt yourself. No pad work can replicate the ache of failing in front of a crowd, in front of teammates, in front of yourself. That edge is called humility. And humility is a superpower. Because once you get past that moment of self-loathing, of wanting to disappear, of wanting to tap out of your own life, something changes. If you stay in the game long enough, you rebuild yourself. But this time, you rebuild with better bricks. Yeah, more patience, sharpened focus, better ability to listen, the ability to see other people's strength instead of just protecting your own ego. And that makes you exponentially more dangerous. Because the confident, untested fighter is still worried about looking good. But the broken and rebuilt fighter, they only care about getting better. They don't waste energy protecting an image. They train to solve problems, not to feed an audience. So let's break this down into a few layers, okay? Because loss isn't just one bad day. It's like a multi-level stress test. So the first layer is the physical layer. Your conditioning, your techniques, your structure. The loss shows you where you truly break under pressure. The second layer might be the technical one. What patterns did your opponent exploit? Did they bait you? Did they read your feints? Did they collapse your range? Yeah, that loss is a blueprint of exactly where you need to rebuild. The third layer might be the tactical layer. Were you too predictable? Did you freeze? Did you overcommit? Yeah, so a loss reveals your decision-making flaws better than any win. The fourth layer might be the emotional layer. For me, that's the big one. What did you feel when you realized you were losing? Panic, rage, desperation, or did you stay composed? Loss is a stress test for your emotional operating system, if you will. And the fifth layer would be the identity layer. When your hand wasn't raised, who were you then? Did you feel worthless? Did you feel like quitting? Loss forces you to confront how tightly your identity is tied to external validation. And I have to mention the example of Dominick Cruz, former UFC champion, WEC champion. And he said the happiest moment in his life wasn't when he got the belt in the UFC again. It was when he realized he doesn't need the belt to know who he is or to be happy or something along those lines. It's a fantastic point of view. So all these layers I just mentioned, it's a gold mine of data if you're brave enough to actually look at it. So we're looking at this for what could we do this week, in the week ahead, right? Maybe look back at the moment you lost something. Could be a match, a project, a friendship, a relationship. And then you could write it down, note it down, talk it down. Like, what did you actually lose? And what did you learn? And what did you gain from surviving it? It's kind of like, like your personal feedback loop, like a bit of like journaling, so to speak. You could also list after that, what habits would you want to change because of that? And maybe even what habits you should keep, because even in loss, some things might have worked, right? If you do those things, just basic journaling, that's how you turn a loss from poison to power. That's how you weaponize your failure. So if you take away anything from today, remember this. Loss is data. Loss is a map. Loss is a mirror. And if you refuse to look at it, you'll stay stuck. But if you're willing to stand in the humiliation, to break down what happened, and to get back to work, no one can touch you long term. That's the art of losing. And we could even call it the art of honesty. And ultimately, it's the art of becoming unstoppable. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening to the Fight Principles. I'm Sasha, and if you found this useful, share it, talk about it, send it to someone who needs to know that it's okay to lose, because it just means that you're still in the fight. Stay sharp, stay grounded. We talk next week.
Steel and shadow, fists fly high, breaking through limits, I reach for the sky. Martial instincts power my stride. Fight principles guiding my fight.